The far north. It sounds beautiful, romantic, harsh, mysterious, and quite simple. But in reality, what is it, this farthest north? Where is it located? What's there? Do people live there? And why do some people and birds strive to go there? Perhaps it's a figment of the imagination, and there is no such place at all. Fortunately, this place exists, and its captivating power is so great that if you have ever visited and caught the Arctic fever, it stays with you for life. Today, the North continues to allure romantics and adventure seekers, just as it did in ancient times. Not even the deadly danger of getting lost in the deserted expanses of white silence can deter these restless souls. And there it lies, the farthest north, on distant and icy islands scattered in the frozen waters of the Arctic Ocean. These are desolate patches of land where only cold and polar bears reign. Access to these islands is exceedingly difficult, let alone surviving there for an extended period. Many of these islands go for years without human visitors, although they used to be teeming with life. Just catching a glimpse of these desolate lands, let alone setting foot on them, would be an achievement. There's nothing impossible. Every year, an aging ship, the Mikhail Somov, sets sail for the Arctic, carrying people afflicted with Arctic fever on board. These individuals are then scattered across uninhabited lands, where they will remain alone with the far north for an entire year. One morning, I decided to organize my video archive. As I was going through some very old video files, I stumbled upon footage captured 12 years ago during an expedition on the research vessel Mikhail Somov, which was on a mission known as the Northern Delivery. I became so engrossed in reviewing the material that I didn't realize how the day had passed. Watching the recorded scene sent shivers down my spine, and I marveled at what had been created by the Soviet Union in the remote north. There was a sense of bitterness in my heart for the present. The country that once existed no longer does, but there are people who continue to live among the ruins of the past, far from the glittering capital and big cities, without shops and lavish attire, without luxury cars and bars. These people go a whole year without seeing other human beings. They live in a close-knit community with no opportunity to escape to the mainland. Some of them remain on the islands for many years, while others, having completed their duty, never return. Those who stay are few in number, and they are the true polar explorers who bypass titular titles, government awards, luxurious Moscow banquets, and presidential accolades. They simply love their work and honestly carry out their duties on the far north of Russia. That's where we're headed, along with the ship Mikhail Somov, and of course, with God's blessing, without which you can hardly go anywhere these days. Every maritime journey begins at a seaport. Therefore, our journey will start from the Arkhangelsk port, to which the vessel Mikhail Somov is assigned. As always, before the start of the expedition, well-groomed reporters and television crews gathered on the shore to interview the leadership. Watching the talking heads of the management isn't always exciting, but it's necessary to listen to a few sentences to grasp and understand the upcoming expedition.
Можно сказать, несколько десятилетий Сомов ежегодно осуществляет северный завоз, доставка продовольствия, горючего, полярников, приборов, оборудования на полярные станции. Значит, вот этот поход, он знаменателен тем, что впервые за всю постсоветскую и, пожалуй, советскую историю наша страна приступает к очистке арктических территорий от экологического загрязнения, то есть от продуктов жизнедеятельности тех предприятий, Министерства обороны, других геологов и нашей гидромедслужбы, правда, в меньшем количестве, от металлолома и бочкотары. Значит, кроме этого, будет выполнен большой объем работ по программе геофизика, ФЦП «Геофизика». Значит, это строительство станции на острове Виза, новой полярной станции современного модульного типа. Это установка очень серьезного, такого дорогостоящего и важного оборудования связи на обсерватории Кренкеля Земли Франца Иосифа. Ну и целый ряд других вопросов, связанных с обустройством полярных станций по всей территории маршрута. Я думаю, что Сомов еще как минимум 5-7 лет может работать, потому что другого судна федерального назначения сегодня нет. Рассматривается вопрос о проектировании нового судна для Арктики. Но на проектирование и строительство уйдет тоже не меньше этого времени, 5-7 лет, поэтому Сомов в рабочем состоянии. Корпус, механизмы и так далее, они достаточно надежны. Если понимаете, не возраст определяет способность судна к дальнейшей работе, а его техническое состояние. Вот техническое состояние сегодня позволяет ему работать еще, по крайней мере, от 5 до 7 лет, так сказать.
In Soviet times, there was practically a meteorological station or research base on nearly every island in the Arctic. The country explored the North and spared no expense or effort. It was during that time that the scientific research vessel Mikhail Somov was built to supply the Antarctic and polar research stations.
НЭС Михаил Сомов, научно-экспедиционное судно, построено в 1975 году в городе Херсон. Строилось специально для работы Арктика и Антарктика, снабжения антарктических станций. В конце 90-х годов переведено на север. Здесь поступило в распоряжение управления Северного ГМС. И с тех пор мы, собственно, занимаемся снабжением полярных станций. Судно довольно пожилое, но тем не менее можно назвать его таким крепким стариком. До настоящего момента судно ходит, эксплуатируется и еще будет эксплуатироваться, потому что, собственно, замены пока в обозримом будущем нет. Тем не менее, рано или поздно придется Михаилу Сомову менять на более новое судно. Это, я думаю, что в ближайшие 5-10 лет. Вот это максимум, что судно еще сможет проработать.
After the dissolution of the USSR, a significant number of Arctic stations were simply abandoned, as was the case with many things in the country during that time. However, some stations survived and continued to be manned by meteorologists, whose profession involves monitoring the weather. Even in this day and age of computerization and automation, such a delicate task cannot be entrusted entirely to technology. The most accurate instrument is a human being. Let's begin with the northernmost archipelago of Russia, the Franz Josef Land, abbreviated as FJL. It is a vast archipelago situated in the Barents Sea and consists of 192 islands for now. I say for now because its landmass is concealed beneath the thickness of glaciers, and nobody can say with certainty whether it's one continuous landmass or scattered islands. The northernmost point of Russia is on Rudolph Island, specifically at Cape Fligely. If this is the northernmost land in the country, then this is where the northernmost meteorological station is located. In the past, several stations operated on the archipelago, but now they are abandoned. On Hooker Island, the Russian Arctic National Park has restored an abandoned station and created a museum of Arctic exploration, which attracts affluent tourists.
Бес вышел из мальчика, в тот же миг выздоровел. Когда ученики остались с Иисусом одни, они подошли к нему и спросили, почему мы не смогли его изгнать, потому что у вас мало веры, ответил он. Говорю вам, если бы у вас была вера, хоть с горчичное зерно, но если бы вы сказали этой горе, передвинься оттуда сюда, она бы передвинулась, и не было бы для вас ничего невозможного. Аллилуйя, аллилуйя, аллилуйя.
Мы когда вытащили, и когда мы в октябре стали жить нормально, когда мы, вы помните ладанки, вот, которые мне дали?
Да.
Я их все съел. В феврале основные все съел. А знаете, почему в феврале? Самый тяжелый момент был. Мы либо нас в ледоколную было вывозить, либо нам оставаться здесь. А мы вытащили. А знаете, это что было? Это ночь, темнота, ничего нет, 30 мороза и 37 ветер. Будьте здоровы, живите дальше. Об этом сейчас разговариваем.
Что делать там?
Ну,
Как деньги делить? Ну, это, давайте к огурчику в честь праздника Почаевской Божьей Матери, это всех скорбящих радость. Сегодня, вот, сейчас мы выйдем и позвоним.
С Божьей помощью преодолели.
Да, почти.
Главное,
кстати,
главное свое становление внутри, чтобы вы смогли здесь.
ну да, естественно,
Вы
с
же-
Божьей помощью, а больше нам никто не помогал. Да.
Да.
И наш мозг и ум ничего не помогал этому делу. Правда?
Ну, мозг и ум тоже.
Нет, как, это
Господь дает
тоже это не надо
мысли, силы
откладывать это.
и все.
И вот
честь
эти вот
праздника.
мужики не помогали.
Many Arctic islands are too shallow for a ship to approach closely. That's why helicopters are used for unloading cargo. They perform shuttle flights. Small loads are carried inside the helicopter, while large, bulky cargo is transported on the sling. The Mi-8 helicopter is a real workhorse. It has accomplished and continues to perform so much work in these hard-to-reach places. It's a unique helicopter piloted by real aces. I remember one incident. It was May, and I was sitting with my friend Valera in our wintering cabin in northern Siberia. There was a raging blizzard outside, and the whole cabin was shaking. Valera says to me, "I hear something humming outside." I reply, "It's just the wind howling through the chimney." But no, I was wrong. A helicopter landed and brought us our expedition equipment. By the time we got dressed and stepped out of the cabin, the helicopter crew had already unloaded our cargo and was closing the door to take off. I ran up to the helicopter, thanked the commander through the window, and shouted to him, "You guys are real aces." He just smiled and replied, "Oh, come on. It can get much tougher in our line of work." These were polar pilots with a capital P. I find it hard to imagine how meticulously everything must be planned down to the smallest detail to bring in everything needed for a whole year's work. Because of some minor oversight, an unsolvable problem could arise here that might cost lives. This is the only trip this year, and there won't be any more transport until next year. Take a good look at these old houses. They're all made of wood. Inside, there are stone stoves, which are essential here. At any moment, the generator could fail and the heating system wouldn't work. Wood and coal are the most reliable fuels in the north. They used to bring them in abundance, but now they rely on machinery. Modern insulated modules from which new stations are built look like containers. I happened to be on one of the first such new stations, located at the mouth of the Lena River, just when they were receiving President Putin. They were showing off all the innovations to him. It's all well equipped and cozy both inside and out, but as always, there are minor flaws. For example, the water supply and sewage systems freeze during the winter and don't work. Before Putin's visit, there was a sign on the doors that said, "Toilet not working." Of course, they removed the sign for the president's visit so as not to be embarrassed. It would be great to leave these designers for a winter over along with the presidential lens cleaners so they can truly experience the extreme north. Oh, the north is full of legends worthy of a smile. Over many years of work on these islands, especially where military bases were located, thousands of tons of household waste, metal, fuel, and equipment have accumulated. It's time to clean all of this up, and it's a commendable initiative by the government. We hope these initial steps are not just a publicity stunt by the authorities, and that the work to clean up the Arctic will be conducted on all islands.
40 лет все это привозили, и, к сожалению, ничего не увозилось. И поэтому количество беспорядка и хаоса, который находится сейчас в Арктике, оно просто не передается словами. Наша задача, наша команда из 8 человек здесь на острове, задача как можно больше объективной информации получить о степени загрязнения, о масштабах загрязнения. Вот для этого мы должны как можно больше территории обследовать, и потом по результатам обследования принимать решение о том, как это все можно удалить. Ну, настрой у команды очень хороший, потому что мы все-таки 20 с лишним дней проплыли, как-то побездельничали. Сейчас вот отдохнувшие, откормленный на Михаиле Somov. Спасибо, кстати, хочу бы большое экипажу передать Михаилу Somову. Это уже замечательная команда, и очень приятно было плыть на этом судне. И вертолетному отряду Архангельскому, который проводит просто чудеса при разгрузке. Мы наблюдали на многих островах высадку. Работа мастерская просто. Но я думаю, что раз уж такое огромное пространство, как архипелаг земли Франца Иосифа, принадлежит России, то относиться надо с уважением к этой земле. У нас, кстати, очень хорошие соседи должны быть, пока не видели, но тут большое количество все-таки присутствует белых медведей. Но жить в таком борделе, извините, думаю, даже медведям не нравится. Поэтому, раз уж эта земля принадлежит нам, то надо ее чистить.
In 2017, I visited Novaya Zemlya, the site of an abandoned military base. On Google Maps, you can clearly see the abandoned structures and piles of garbage. However, when I arrived at the base, I found nothing. The team did a great job cleaning up and removing the trash from the island. It was a joyful moment, and the cleanup program was working back then. Unfortunately, the cleanup efforts are currently on hold and have lost momentum. The northernmost continental point in our country, Cape Chelyuskin, is still buried under heaps of rusted garbage. In the future, they plan to open the northern sea route, which will be used by foreign vessels. What will foreign captains say when they see the Russian far north? Russia is vast, but there's no order here. Loading operations take a day or two. After they finish, it's back on the route to other meteorological stations. There's no time for rest. Unfortunately, the Somov expedition doesn't have the opportunity to explore various corners of the Franz Josef Land archipelago fully. This archipelago in the Arctic still holds many mysteries and attractions, both historical and natural. We will head to one of its natural attractions, located on the Chan Island, which is famous for its perfect stone spheres. How could nature create such stone spheres scattered across the island in various sizes? These spheres are called Spherulites. Some of them have quite impressive dimensions, up to 3 meters in diameter and a perfectly round shape. They are believed to have formed as a result of cementation of sandstone particles with iron sulfide. It's a complex process to explain in this video, and for those interested, a more detailed explanation can be found on the internet. Franz Josef Land can confidently be called a glacial sanctuary. This is what the Arctic desert looks like, where there are no trees or shrubs, only glaciers, permafrost, moss, lichens, and rocks. It's always cold here, even in the height of summer. The temperature only slightly rises above freezing. Over 80% of the archipelago's territory is covered by glaciers, with some glaciers reaching thicknesses of up to 300 meters. There are islands that are entirely covered by ice, and their icy walls extend into the sea, making it impossible to see the land beneath. Such islands are entirely lifeless. Birds don't nest on them, and polar bears can't reach their icy expanse. Icebergs often calve off from these icy walls and set sail in the Barents Sea. I once had the opportunity to visit a similar ice island, but it was on the Severnaya Zemlya archipelago. It's the tiny island of Ushakov. The entire island is covered by glaciers, and on the most precipitous edge of the glacier stands an abandoned station, complete with a caterpillar tractor. Until 1991, people lived and worked here, in a life where only two colors existed, white and blue, and even blue was only visible when the sky was not clouded. In the polar night of winter, you wouldn't see any white, only a black abyss. Wintering at a station like this should earn someone the title of a hero, or, at the very least, an honorary polar explorer. However, such titles are granted to those who wear expensive suits and arrive in the Arctic by helicopter to take photos and leave for the comfort of their offices. We are leaving the Franz Josef Land archipelago and heading towards other islands of the far north where people are dealing with Arctic fever.